Are you a teacher or a professor who's had a problem with students misusing AI, especially on writing assignments? I'm a philosophy professor, and I used to have this problem. Thankfully, after a lot of trial and error and talking to other people, a little bit of research, I've hit upon a method which has really solved the problem in my classes. I still get a few cases of AI cheating, but when they happen, I have a good way to deal with them. So the method boils down to 5 principles, and in this video I'll share it. First, though, we need a distinction between 2 types of assignments that you can give. Formative assignments are assignments where the goal is just that the student learn some concept, skill, material. Evaluative assignments, on the other hand, have a goal of allowing you as the teacher to see whether the student has learned and what they have learned. So the first principle is this: give a high weight to evaluative assignments in the overall course grade, and deliver those assignments in a secure manner so you really know what the students can do without AI. So make formative assignments count and deliver them in a secure manner. This would mean in-person pen and paper tests, blue books, could do oral exams, or if it's on a computer or you're teaching an online course, this would mean delivering exams with online proctoring software. At my university, we use HonorLock, and it works quite well. There are other such apps. When you explain how the course grade breakdown works to your students, and they see that a high percentage of the course grade is going to come from these evaluative assignments, they'll realize, oh, I actually need to learn the skills in this course to do well. So that gives them less of an incentive to misuse AI in the formative assignments. In my classes now, between 55 and 60% of the final course grade come from evaluative assignments. One big caveat: you don't want to surprise your students by just giving one massive test at the end, or even one midterm and one final. That's waiting too late, because there'll be some students who are coasting and they need that first test as a wake-up call. So I like to give an initial good hard test 2 or 3 weeks in, usually 3 weeks in, and that helps the students kind of calibrate. Principle 2: disincentivize cheating further by actually making it pretty easy to get a good grade on the formative assignments. Now, I'm not saying the formative assignments have to be easy in terms of the work they're doing, but getting a good grade should be relatively easy. Here's the idea: if the student can score pretty well on the assignment just by giving it a good try, there's a lot less incentive to cheat. There's a big caveat here, though. You don't want to lull your students into complacency. If they're doing all these assignments, getting 90s and 100s, then the test comes along and they bomb it. Well, we want to avoid that. So what you can do is both give them their actual grade. Hey, you tried on this such and such assignment, 90% or whatever. But then also communicate, however, if this had been an in-class writing exam, or this had been the test, you would have gotten a 65%. So that sort of information helps them really take the formative assignment seriously. Principle 3: for formative assignments, use a walled garden to increase the difficulty of AI cheating. A walled garden is just an app which it's a controlled environment in which the student works, which makes it cheating with AI or any sort of cheating, makes cheating more difficult. So these are delivered as apps. One of them is the Turnitin Clarity product. Another is Personify, which I helped develop, and that's what I use in my classes. I love it. My students like it. So here's the idea: when a student just hands in a physical paper or uploads a PDF on your learning management system, and you read in, it really seems like AI. It can be hard to prove that it's AI if all you have is the final document. But when the student writes their paper within a walled garden app, you as the professor can see when they started, when they finished, what was cut and pasted, how long they took typing, how much of the time they were thinking, meaning like typing a bit, pausing, typing some more. You can even see a complete version history. So in problem cases, you can look carefully and see how the paper develops minute by minute at key points. Last year I had about 180 students I taught over the course of the 2 semesters. I didn't keep exact records, but I know that I had about 6 cases where I needed to call a student in and talk with them because I strongly suspected AI cheating. And when I presented the evidence from Personify, 4 of them just straight up confessed. So that made those conversations a lot smoother and easier. The other thing I do, if I strongly suspect cheating, but the student doesn't confess and doesn't have a good explanation, I will ask them about vocabulary in their paper. So this you have to prepare beforehand before you meet with the student. But you'll pick out 2 or 3 technical words in the paper, words like posits. And then I'll say to the student, use the word posits in your paper. Could you tell me what that word means? Could you use it in a sentence? Next word, could you tell me what this word means? Could you use it in a sentence? And if they can't, that's strong evidence that they had another source. Principle 4. So far we've been talking about the problems AI has brought and how to meet them. But actually, there are great pedagogical benefits. There's some positives that we can take advantage of. So the 4th principle is use AI in a controlled way to provide your students with immediate feedback on formative assignments. I teach argumentative writing in my introductory philosophy courses. And this involves I have my students learn a sort of highly structured form where I want them to state a thesis, give a formally valid argument for it, support each premise, raise an objection, reply to the objection, and that's a whole new set of skills for most of my students. So they need a lot of practice. And so I give them a lot of practice, mainly within class writing, within Personify, the app. The idea is they write, they get a draft going, then they can click a button and they get an AI-generated evaluation of how their draft aligns to a rubric which I've provided. And it goes through the steps in the rubric, it changes their paper writing experience from, I've got a blank sheet of paper, I don't know what my professor wants, to, oh, my argument was invalid, I got to fix that. And I don't have the AI telling them how to make it valid. I just have the AI telling them it's not valid. It's got this problem. Try again. So then the students can go back, revise, and iterate and get feedback. They've really liked that. It takes a while sometimes to get your rubric just right so that the AI feedback is at the same sort of difficulty level that you would give. But with a little tweaking, it becomes very, very useful. I'll put the web address for Personify in the comments. Finally, principle 5. Oh, I should say, with the AI assistance, when test time comes around and the students know this is coming, I take away the assistance and then we see how can the students do on their own. Principle 5, harness social proof to encourage honesty. So I used to make a mistake. On the first day of class, going through the syllabus, I used to say, hey, got a big problem with AI cheating at the school. It's really unfair. So here's the AI policies for the class. This is why I have them. But later I learned about something called the principle of social proof by a social psychologist named Robert Cialdini. He's talked about this a lot. He tells a famous story of the Petrified Rock National Forest somewhere in the Southwest. They had a sign that said 13 tons per year of petrified rock are taken out of this park every year. Don't do it. And what was interesting is the sign actually made people considerably more likely to take some of their own because they thought, wow, everybody's doing it. I got to get mine before it's all gone. In fact, the park also had data. A tiny percentage of park visitors were stealing petrified wood. It was 2 or 3% or something. So if the sign had said, most park visitors are honest, but 2% steal, don't do that, save our park or whatever, it would have had a totally different effect. So what I was doing before was signaling to the students, AI cheating is common and normal. And then some of them are going to think, oh, I better do it too, so I don't work at a disadvantage. So now instead, I start off in the first day of class and I say something like this. All true, just a different emphasis. I say, hey students, most of you I know do not use AI to cheat. In my classes, the large majority of students are doing their own work. They're working honestly. I really appreciate that. But some of the students sometimes misuse AI in a way that short circuits their own learning and is unfair to everyone else. So we're gonna use this web app and to do your writing, and I'm gonna have these policies about AI. That's it. Those are the 5 principles. I hope they're helpful.